Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Security threats are everywhere. But with Xfinity XFi, you're notified of threats to your in-home Wi-Fi network, so all your connected devices are protected. That's simple, easy, awesome. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit today. Restrictions apply.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network. You can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. We are live at Tin Shed in Savage, Minnesota. This is the Russo-Souhan show. He's Michael Russo, of course, the star of the show. My wife made it out to this show, so it's fun having Vicky's. Vicky saved her seat, and Vicky's cheering for her because Vicky's wanted to see her for a long time. We appreciate Tin Shed sponsoring the show and hosting the show. Thanks to our other sponsors, Twill and the Dining Galleria, Fixologyrepair.com, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, and Bitesquad, Bitesquad.com. Let's start with this. You were in Cabo last week. Ezekiel Elliott was in Cabo last week.
Yeah, I heard.
I just see you guys doing the same beach workout together.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. It was funny. I didn't know what the heck. I did like 2 radio interviews the day that Bill Guerin was hired, and both people asked me like, "Oh, have you seen Ezekiel?"
Really?
I'm like, you know, like a lot of times when somebody asks you a question and you don't know what the heck they're talking about, you still kind of like talk yourself.
That's pretty much
through
this
it
whole
and,
show.
Yeah, exactly, and pretend that you know what you're doing, and then I, of course, had to Google what the heck they were talking about. Yeah, that was a crazy story. I remember once I was in Vegas, and the Panthers practiced for like 3 or 4 days in Vegas, and Dennis Rodman, do you remember when he was like MIA from the Lakers? Like nobody knew where he was, and all of a sudden I like walk by him at the Hard Rock Casino, and I'm like, that's where you just kind of wish that Twitter existed back then. You're like, I know where he is. So he was playing craps at the Hard Rock. And he was like missing from the LA Lakers.
It's funny you say that too, but it's so true. People cannot get away with anything these days.
No, nothing. Absolutely.
Especially
nothing.
you.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, I mean, perfect example. The first thing I did this morning was I texted Zach Parisi to ask how his meeting at Starbucks last night with Bill Guerin went. And the only reason why I knew is because a mutual friend sent me a picture of her with Parisi that Guerin took at the Starbucks in Edina. So Parisi just straight back, he goes, "Do you have sources at the Starbucks now?" So you cannot do anything. Even today, I get this text message with just it was last week I got a text message of a picture of Craig and Bruce having lunch together on the patio of the St. Paul Hotel. So I took a screen capture of the picture and sent it to Craig and Bruce together. I'm like, "How's lunch?" I told them I was in the woods. And then the other one was today. Somebody was like, "Hey, just so you know, Guerin and Leopold are having lunch right now with Spurgeon and at the St. Paul." So you cannot do anything in this town without it, like somebody seeing you if you're a hockey player.
I mean, you were creepy enough when you stalked people in person.
I know. Now I don't even have.
Worse now.
Yeah, I know. Now it's like it's the easiest job in the world. I just wait till people send me direct messages on Twitter with pictures. And that's how I broke the Coyle story.
Right.
Somebody's like, "Hey, just so you know, I just saw Coyle's bag get off the team truck at the girls' state high school tournament." I'm like, "Okay." I mean, that's just like, I mean, it's just crazy the way that the world works now.
I think if somebody wanted to keep something from you, going to a Starbucks is the dumbest idea ever. Because you probably do have a source in every Starbucks
barista
in America.
is my source.
Exactly.
I know them all. I even know the baristas up in Duluth. If she's listening, she knows what I'm talking about right now. I have somebody that knows my order in Duluth. Because the Wild used to practice up there like 3 or 4 days training camp. So I'd go in there, and she knew exactly what I wanted right away. That was before you could pre-order on the Starbucks app.
You're so high-tech.
Yeah. So,
what was Cabo like?
Cabo was awesome. I was just telling my buddy as I was driving down here that I didn't leave the resort. Nicest hotel that I've ever stayed at. I think we talked about it on the last show. I said this on the podcast last week that it was the nicest hotel I've ever stayed at, and I got 1,000 tweets asking me what hotel it was. So I'll just tell you, it was called the Solaz, Solaz. Incredible. 7 restaurants on the premises. Didn't even leave the resort. Most impeccably maintained resort I've ever been to in my life. And the one real reason why it happens is so I was working all day, just 4 days in a row. I wrote a Parisi story down there, wrote the Guerin story that he was going to get the job the day before, and then I wrote a Guerin feature from down there. So I was working during the days, and then at night I would just sit on the patio and kind of drink wine, smoke cigars with some friends, and while I was doing that, I'm just watching. It's like 3 a.m. I'm just watching just so many workers just cleaning the place up and trimming hedges, and that's why when you wake up in the morning, the place just looks insane. And there's something about it. I'm not. Bruce Boudreau, when I went, he said to me, I took it a bit of offense to it. He goes to me, what does somebody like you do in Cabo? And then I thought about it, honestly, the whole vacation. I'm like, kind of this. But there is something to being down and listening to the waves from 1,000 feet away, just listening to the waves crash on the beach for 5 days straight. It's relaxing, especially when you've had 5 bottles of wine. No, I'm just kidding.
Is that a Marriott property?
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
A lot of points to stay there.
Yeah.
But Marriott has that thing that if you stay 5 nights, you get the 5th night free. So that's why I stayed so long. Of course, when the Guerin presser was on the 5th day, I was kind of maybe I should have just taken the 5th day free off and just flown home.
Will they let someone like me go there, or is it just for people like you?
No, trust me. If they let me there, they'll let you there. It was such a great hotel. It really was. The suite was 1,800 square feet. Indoor, outdoor shower, plunge pool that was probably 40 feet, 50 feet. Not that I took advantage of that. The patio had a gigantic couch, 2 big chairs, and then an actual kind of picnic table with 4 chairs around it. Giant living room, kitchen. Bedrooms were awesome. It was pretty cool.
So what does a person like you do down there?
Work. Yeah, pretty much. That's what I did.
I thought that was funny that all the news broke while you were in Cabo.
Yes. But I promised you I'd be the one breaking it.
You did. Absolutely. You lived up to it. This is the flagship show on TalkNorth.com, our podcast network. We have Cheryl Reeve, Roy Smalley, John Krasinski, John Millay, all kinds of good people working on the network. Check out all the shows if you can. Subscribe at your favorite podcast app. Also, go on and iTunes or whatever and rate us. Rip us, rate us, whatever you want to do. Let people know you're listening. We appreciate it. Tin Shed MN, as my wife just said, is a comfort food mecca down here in Savage. It's pretty easy to get to. Tentatively, our next 2 live shows are September 11th and 18th. We're going to try to fit another show in late September, early October, so follow us on social media to get updates on that. September 11th and 18th, 7 o'clock here at Tin Shed in Savage. Go to tinshedmn.com to see their menu, see their specials, so you can stop by even when we're not here, and so you can see Michael Russo's lovely face on their advertisement, tinshedmn.com. I want to also thank our primary sponsor, our longest-running sponsor, Twill in the Dining Gallery, twillmn.com, TWILL on Instagram. I'm going to be going by Twill hopefully next week. I need to pick up some stuff for fall. I just love their clothes. I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Dining Gallery the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Brax. a nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Yeah, I've worn the Stenstrom short sleeve shirts every day this week. When I dress up or even just want to look nice at a game or a Lynx game or something, I wear the Stenstrom dress shirts. But really, the Brax pants are the most comfortable I've ever worn. They are more comfortable than jeans. I never thought I'd have anything more comfortable than a broken-in pair of jeans.
And he keeps saying that, Scott, so thank you very much.
Twill in the Dining Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. All right, let's start.
You should have had Stacy do a live read.
We could do that, actually. Yeah. She's not exactly intimidated by the setting here. She would not have any trouble with that. So, Bill Guerin.
Yeah.
I know that I could tell the way he talked. I can tell from conversations I've had with people around the cities and around that team that it sounds like his first order of business was just settling things down and repairing some relationships and making people feel good about working for the Minnesota Wild again.
And playing for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
The one thing he's doing is, which I think is bright, is he's trying to sit down with as many players as he can before he leaves for Traverse City next week for the Prospects Tournament. He had dinner with Bruce Boudreau at Manny's the other night. He yesterday I had lunch with Koivu, coffee, as I mentioned, with Parisi, today Spurgeon.
So he likes Koivu more than Parisi, is the way I'm reading into it.
He knows a lot of these guys. He knows Stahl really well already. I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I talked to everybody in the office, and everybody's just been on cloud nine. It's just a different, just to show you what type of person he is. On Monday, I think it was Monday night, they had a goodbye party for Caitlin, their director of social media. And so obviously, this is somebody that's worked for the team for 5 or 6 years. So a lot of people went to this. And apparently Bill Guerin went to the party, and Bill's known her for 4 days. So that, and just to show you what that means is that meant so much, like that shocked so many people in the organization that like 7 different people texted me or called me, goes, do you believe Bill Guerin went to Caitlin's party? That type of stuff is stuff that is morale boosters. That's what it is. The other thing that he's done really interesting is, so he threw out the first pitch at the Twins game, but then he met with Thad and Falvey, and then the next day it might not have been the next day, but one of the days, just a couple days ago, he went down to the Vikings and met up with Zimmer and Spielman. He's trying to meet it up with the United and the Wolves right now as well, to try to meet his colleagues around town, but find out how other teams operate. Their analytics department, their front office, and the way they scout and things like that. And look, everybody's done that. Paul Fenton's done that. Bruce Boudreau's done that. Mike Yo's done that. Chuck Fletcher's done that. Chuck and Rick Spielman were like best buddies. But I think for him to do that right off the hop also shows that he wants to, one, have good relations with the other team in town, but he's somebody that's trying to learn. That's the one thing when I ran into him yesterday at Braemar. The one thing he said about his dinner with Bruce Boudreau was it was just him being kind of a sponge. He's like, people look at me as like his boss, but Bruce has been doing this for a heck of a lot longer than I have. Has been coaching or playing well longer than I've been alive, essentially. And so, to me, I want to learn from him as much as to have that type of relationship. And so right away, from Bruce Boudreau's perspective, whatever his contract situation is, he looks at that as like, wow, that's the type of thing that also lifts Bruce's spirits, that he's going to have that type of relationship with this GM. I've told the story before where it's like, trade deadline time and other important parts of this organization. Bruce wasn't even invited into the room for these things. That's just unheard of from a coaching perspective. And so I think that this is going to be, at least off the hop, a really good relationship. Now, we'll wait till November 1 and see what their record is, and things might very well change. But as of right now, Billy's definitely doing the right things, probably to just develop relationships in the organization.
By the way, we do have a jar up here. You can enter to win 2 tickets to an upcoming Wild game provided by Brian from Tin Shed. Feel free to come up. If anybody needs a business card from our network, it's right there, just in case. And one thing I wrote about after talking to Leopold after the press conference, and talking to a couple other people, in some ways, this is a pretty good entry for a first-time GM. He's not expected to make any dramatic moves. He's not expected to overhaul the roster. He gets a grace period to take a look at this team.
Yeah, a legit honeymoon period because there's just not much that he can do. Even though there are a ton of, the one big thing is there are a ton of restricted free agents available. Brock, not available. That's the wrong word. Unsigned.
Right.
Not just Kevin Fiala here, but Brock Besser, Mikko Rantanen, Matt Tkachuk, Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor, Mitch Marner, Zach Werenski, Braden Point, Honka, Julius Honka down in Dallas, Charlie McAvoy. It's great. I've never seen this. It does seem like there's almost like a collusion on the part of the owners to just stand pat here. Like I know with Brock Besser, there was a conversation yesterday with Jim Benning and his agent, and they're farther apart today than they were yesterday, type thing. So there's a lot of guys available. So potentially, Billy could at least try to hit a home run early. Very, very unlikely though that would happen. That you'd be able to pull off a move this early in your tenure. So he's going to come into this with pretty much the roster set, and then it'll allow him that grace period to analyze the prospects, really watch his team, try to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of everybody on this team. And he's coming in feeling like this team has a solid base or a solid foundation that maybe they didn't have. This Fiala situation is interesting. Right now, they don't seem very close. It's just shocking to me that Fiala in his first full season with the Wild would want to play this type of hardball. There's just so much stuff. It's like even his hasn't given his equipment, his sticks and skates and stuff like that, hasn't even given that to the Wild. So all of a sudden, that's stuff that needs to usually be ordered by August 1st, and here it is almost September 1st, and that's not out. So when he comes here, he's going to have to use either equipment that he had last year, or he's going to have to probably, essentially use other players' equipment until his gets in. It just seems like he's kind of MIA, other than you see him on social media. But right now, they've got he's going to come in here. I was talking to Bruce yesterday, and Bruce has already changed kind of the lines again. He's flipped Fiala and Zuccarello. So now Zuccarello's back with, starting in camp, Parise and Cunnin, but Fiala is going to be on a line to potentially start camp with Zucker and Stahl. That thing, to me, if I'm Kevin Fiala, that should whet my appetite to play with those two. So we'll see if he can get it done. There's 13, 14 days before camp for that to happen.
Do you think it's Fiala having too big an ego?
No, I just think, this is business, right? Look, there's a ton of unsigned restricted free agents. There's a price point there that they're negotiating. I don't think it's that. I would never say that about a player. You get certain times to sign contracts. And he's just looking out for himself. And remember Marcus Foligno's first year in Minnesota, he too went right up until the beginning of training camp as well, and then signed. Usually this stuff does get done.
Let's take some live questions. We haven't done a live show since Guerin's hiring. I'm sure there's some good questions about that. Come up, grab the mic, and we'll point to you when it's time for you to do the show. Brandon can help you out. I thought somebody was coming up. We do also want to thank Fixologyrepair.com. Usually we see John Hedges, who runs Fixology Repair, at our live shows. Hope to see him again soon. They have opened a new location downtown St. Paul in the Skyway. It's by the Wild offices, by the XL Energy Center. They have that place. They have the downtown Minneapolis location, which is right above Crown Bank in the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. And they have the big ship at Mall of America. It's third floor by Nordstrom's. Any place you take your watch, your iPad, your device, whatever, they can help you. They also sell a lot of cool stuff that's new at the Mall of America.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All 3 shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
So I know you are working on a Brock Besser piece. Do you want to preview that?
Yeah, I met with him yesterday. That story will run tomorrow. Spent all day on it today. In fact, when I went outside to drive here, I'm like, God, I didn't realize it was so nice out today. It would have nice to have been taking a walk. But I spent probably 6-7 hours kind of crafting this story today. It's a gripping story. Very emotional story. Brock's dad is been in the hospital for a month. Not doing well, had a blood clot. He was diagnosed with, he had cancer 2 years ago. It came back they found out in June. It metastasized to his liver, sternum, and his ribs. They put him on a medication, kind of a chemo maintenance drug. It's not something that's going to probably kill the current cancer, but it'll keep it from spreading, or at least attack the kind of mutant genes, is the way it is explained. And then they were, Lori Besser, who's just the sweetest woman in the world. I feel like I've almost become family friends with the Bessers. I've written so many features on Brock over the several years. And Duke, his dad, is just an incredible person. He's Parkinson's, was in a horrible car accident a couple of years ago, and now second bout with cancer. But he was going to go into adult daycare essentially this year because he can't drive anymore. He's got short-term memory loss because of the Parkinson's. So his first day of adult daycare, essentially in Burnsville, he goes to this, comes out, he's laughing, he's telling stories to his family about just this adult daycare. They bring him home, he's still giggling about it as they walk in. And then Lori starts talking to this contractor that's redoing the floors of their Burnsville home, and she hears this thump, and she runs upstairs and finds him convulsing on the floor. Then he said again, it's coming again. And then, boom, he started convulsing again and stopped breathing, and he was without a pulse for 15 minutes. This was on July 29th, the day before the day Paul was fired, I believe, or the day after, or day before, I can't remember. But so they rush him to the hospital. They lose his pulse again. He's been in ICU the last month. Really can't talk. He's got a breathing tube in, a feeding tube in. And now you have Brock here, who is in a contract dispute with Vancouver, so it might allow him to spend more quality time with his dad. But he's about to leave for Vancouver when he signs this deal, and it's just talking about just how what he's been dealing with the last month, dealing with his hero being in this situation and having to fight through yet another piece of adversity in his life, but also the fact that Brock is going to leave and not know if even maybe he might see his dad again, or at a minimum that his mother's going to have to be dealing with this without him. And so it's an emotional story, but extremely, as every Besser story that I write, it ends in a very uplifting way. Talked to his mom yesterday for a long time, and talked to Brock. And as always, I appreciate Brock opening up, cutting these veins open with me. I mean, this kid has dealt with not only what's gone on with his dad, but if you remember, his best friends were in that accident in Lakeville, or Burnsville. About 5 years ago? One passed away. One is seriously injured to this day. And then, there's some funny moments too. He bought himself a house right here in Prior Lake, and he had two of his buddies live with him. Then it became 4. Now it's like every night it sounds like Entourage, like 7-8 buddies coming over but of all summers for him to have this support system, it's been absolutely huge. So there's some, not that now that you've listened to it, I still hope you read the story, because the as usual with the Bessers, the quotes are unbelievable. It's just a really emotional story. Again, very uplifting. But again, one of those stories that's just draining to write. It's just, right when I was done writing it, I was like, oh my God, I got to drive to Savage now. It was like, got up from my desk and I was just like spent. It's just, because you try to, you want to write these stories in a respectful way, but it's a lot of piecing and crafting and putting a jigsaw puzzle together, and then fact checking a lot of things. When you write about medical jargon, you just pray that nothing's lost in translation. So that story will run on Friday's Athletic. Again, Brock and Lori Besser, many thanks for them to always for opening up to me.
Good stuff. Thank you, Michael. Let's thank Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, works out of Champlin. He handles my insurance. He handles Michael's insurance. And he's a great guy. He comes out to the shows every once in a while. And he handles financial services as well. You can go to his website. Just Google Tony Hoagland, Hoaglund. You'll find all the services he can provide. He handles all of my stuff. He handles all Michael's stuff. Hoaglund, State Farm Insurance, Champlin, Minnesota.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoagland. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
Yes, sir, Bert.
Okay, I have two quick questions. The first one is in the second part of the Q&A with Guerin. He seemed happy with the way the organization is with the people now. What I wanted to know is he on some kind of limitation where he can't poach anybody from the Penguin organization for a time? Or?
Not that I know of. That also doesn't seem like something Jim Rutherford would do. Also, this late in the game, most people are going to stay with their current teams. I think more he really does want to get the lay of the land here. He's working really well with Tommy Curvers right now, who's going to be his assistant GM. So it looks like that capacity won't change for him. Chris O'Hearn is director of hockey operations. I think that Bill is going to take more of a front row seat when it comes to contract negotiations. And I started to hear that Chris O'Hearn has actually had his responsibilities changed a little bit even before Billy was on board. So I think Bill will do some contract negotiations, but I do think that the front office is thin, and then he's going to eventually see here that he's got to probably add some people. PJ Fenton, it'll be interesting to see if his role changes or if he'll run the draft with Darren Yapik again. My guess is that would change. I have a good sense of a couple people that I think that Billy will eventually bring in. But right now, it's pretty much it's business as usual, and I think that he is, not going to take anybody from Pittsburgh, at least in the short term. And the people that he wants, a lot of them are not working for Pittsburgh right now. Like, I know a couple.
The second question is, I know you had reported that the Leopold might get the New Year's Day game here at Target Field. Is it really prestigious anymore to get that now? It's been here a bunch of years. There's outdoor games.
Well, I mean, I think it would be, again, that's the thing to me about the Winter Classic. It might not, like, to me, I'm bored with it, but I'm bored with it if it's another venue. If it's here in Minnesota locally, it's going to be gigantic. It will be absolutely awesome. The challenges that they're dealing with right now is that the league and NBC, for the first time, as I reported last week, are very, very intrigued about putting it here. And I do genuinely believe that if they could work out one bit of detail that might not be, that fans might love, I think it's coming here. In 2021 for their 20th anniversary. But this is the problem that fans are not going to love. And this, I'm just thinking out loud here, is that all these games have been in lately: Notre Dame, the Cotton Bowl, University of Michigan, just gigantic football stadiums that you could squeeze 90,000 people in. Well, Target Field, you can put 40. So revenue-wise, how are they going to handle that? Are they willing to take a major haircut, which they're going to have to? Or are they going to all of a sudden take a ticket that's extremely expensive to begin with and up it for the fans, because, from a revenue standpoint. So that's I think, the biggest challenge right now that they're having when it comes to that. But everything I hear from the league, for the first time, like, I talk to the league all the time about this, and before it was always just kind of laughing. And now it sounds like Craig Leopold and Matt Maka and the people that have been really pushing hard to get the one in 2021 so it could be during their 20th anniversary season. It seems like they've made some significant headway. I know that both NBC and the NHL had people here that looked at the Final Four and also the Super Bowl and saw that obviously Minneapolis, St. Paul runs huge events really well. And I think that they're intrigued by that just because of, again, what the timing is. I'll be interested to see who the opponent is if they get the game. I think Winnipeg would be perfect. I don't know if NBC will love that, So we'll see.
Okay. And Julie says she's sorry she couldn't make it, but if you're not going to offer her cookies tonight, she's not coming.
Okay.
Thanks, Bert. Good questions.
So, yeah. By the way, Brusso Radio at the State Fair on Labor Day, 12 to 3. Come on out. Bruce Boudreaux and me.
Yes, sir.
Austin, nice to meet you.
Good to be here.
Yep.
Thanks. Got a question.
Yep.
You're in Cabo, your vacation, one time of the year, you actually get to have some time off.
Uh-huh.
Biggest news of the year breaks.
Yeah.
Disappointed? Excited?
No. As Bruce Boudreaux said, what would I do in Cabo? I'm going to go sunbathe, go surf. Like, I kind of needed that stuff. No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I knew it was, once Paul Fenton was fired, I was prepped. Trust me. As my editors could tell you, I was prepping them for 3.5 weeks. Like, just get ready. I'm like, I promise you I will work down there, but I might need somebody at the presser. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to break the story from down there, but my editor wrote the story, which actually turned out well. Sometimes it was almost refreshing for me to see him write that story because it gets a different writer's voice on The Athletic, and I've written the same story. It's like I have a certain way that I write stories, and there's a certain way that I wrote that story, and I'd written about Guerin so many times in that week leading up to it. It's like I was almost like, oh, what am I going to do again? So then it also worked out perfectly where, you write it for Wednesday, so you kind of have the news. Then you write kind of a feature the morning of the press conference. So now he's got the press conference, and he could write a totally fresh take. So to me, it actually worked out well. And I don't think, to me, the other thing is I think that fans or readers of The Athletic that read this story probably like, oh, it was probably refreshing to them to read somebody else that might be a tad better writer than me. So it worked out well.
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it.
The only thing those days that suck are the waiting for phone calls back. That stinks. There was one person that I was waiting for all day to call me back, and it's like 9 p.m. I'm sitting down for dinner, and the phone rings. It's like, oh, God, that type of thing. What's up? Michael, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the things Fenton kind of talked about last year was the importance of building and developing through Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I know that Guerin was in charge of the Penguins affiliate for a couple years. Did he have any sort of insights about how he was planning on using the Iowa Wild?
You know what? I'd be making it up if I answered. I haven't really asked him about that. One reason is because you look at the roster and you know who's going to be on the team. So it's normally you come into a season, you can look at Iowa guys and say that there's 3 or 4 guys vying for spots, but the roster is the roster on the Wild. In fact, it's going to be more who doesn't make the team. JT Brown, is he going to wind up down in Iowa? I've got to think so, unless there's injuries. Nico Sturm, I don't see how he makes the team without injuries, things like that. But in terms of Iowa, I think he's going to want to let these guys develop. Iowa's going to have a really young team. A lot of first-time really pros down there, the Lodnias, the Duheims, the Dewars, the Robsons. So from a call-up standpoint, there's not a lot of veteran options. I mean, there's Louis Belpedio, there's Brennan Manel, but they've lost guys like Cal O'Reilly, they've lost Matt Reed. So there's not a ton of guys down there. They've signed a couple of NHL guys or NHL or professional veterans to put down there that would be probably call-ups, but my guess is he's going to try to let a lot of these kids play down there and get significant ice time. I think it's good that Nico Sturm might wind up down there. I know he'll probably be disappointed if he doesn't make the team, but to come right out of Clarkson and expect to be on the NHL and probably play the fourth line, I just don't think that's good for his development. As impressive as this young kid is, I think going down there and playing huge minutes is the way to go with him. So,
good question. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that to me, by the way, just on another thing, people keep on saying, Craig Leopold, first of all, Craig Leopold's cheap. I mean, the guy's had a cap team here since 2008. Yeah,
cheapness is not a problem.
Yeah, but they're like, is Craig Leopold going to put Victor Rask in the minors for $4 million? And I'm like, and I want to be what? So you can have Nico Sturm play fourth line or be the 13th forward? That makes no sense. There's no reason to put Victor Rask down there. And as I had to explain to somebody on The Athletic today, you don't get $4 million of cap space to spend if you put Rask down there. Right. Otherwise, people would be burying highly paid players in the minors all the time. The only thing the Wild would get by putting Rask down there is $1 million, about $1.075 million in cap relief. And it's not like they need that right now anyway. So it's not a big deal to me. I mean, as I said last time, and I genuinely mean it, if all of a sudden the Wild have injuries this season, having Rask on this team might not be the worst thing in the world anyway. At least he's an NHL player, so that has scored 20 goals before.
Yes, sir.
So what are the, with the CBA agreement coming up next week, or next year rather, what are the primary points of contention between the...
Well, I mean, it's always going to be stuff like escrow and things like that, Olympic Games, mostly that type of stuff. I mean, they're not going to ever, the NHL is not, the owners are never going to go back to less than 50-50 revenue split. A lot of the international stuff will be a big part of this. I am forgetting like one obvious one that's off the top of my head, but escrow is always going to be a point of contention with the players. But when it's a point of contention with the players, it's just because they don't understand it. It's like they don't understand. Escrow is not just like extra money coming in your paycheck. There's the CBA says that it's a 50-50 split, but you don't know what the revenues are for the league until the following summer. So the way it works is that there has to be a certain amount of money taken out of their paychecks to make sure that they're not overpaying, that the owners are getting their half of the pie, and usually they'll get a refund check in the summertime. But that's just kind of the way it goes. So those will be the big things. So in the next couple of days, to get to Chris's question here, in the next couple of days, we're going to there are opt-outs for both the league and the players. And you could, if they opt out now, then they have a year before technically there could be a work stoppage next year. So in the next couple of days, we're going to find out, I promise you, that the league is going to say, we're not opting out. And then it'll be up to the players who have, according to Pierre LeBrun, a meeting of their hierarchy coming up here in Chicago next week. And then they'll make their decision. If the players decide to opt out, don't panic that all of a sudden that means a guaranteed lockout next year. It just means that they're using their hammer to put a little muscle on the NHL to come to the negotiating table. The thing is that this is the in terms of optimism, this is the most they've ever met before a potential work stoppage that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it seems like they're making strides. They've had good communication. And then the other thing here is that Seattle's coming into the league in 2021. The league's not going to want a work stoppage in there. So I think that type of thing is going to be pressure on Bettman to get stuff done.
If you're in the Savage area, we recommend you come by Tin Shed, lunch, dinner, snacks, late night, beers, whatever. If you aren't in the area and you're looking for good food, we do recommend Bitesquad, bitesquad.com. They're now in Minneapolis, Roseville, St. Paul, and Duluth. You can get their members-only deal, $5.99 a month, gets you free delivery from anywhere within a 4-mile radius. They deliver from really good restaurants. You can even order like just ice cream, and they will show up. It's a great service. And
how about Starbucks?
For you, yes.
Okay.
For you, absolutely. And they will, and it gets there, and it looks like it just came out of the kitchen. You know, I've used it many times before. Use a promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery fee waived. Just keep using it after that because they've been a great partner for our network and this show. And they will deliver to your home, your office, or anywhere you happen to be. So bitesquad.com. Or upload the Bitesquad app and use it, and that's probably the easiest way to use their service. Thanks to Bitesquad for sponsoring the program. Do you like the fair?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I said to somebody else the other day, my biggest anxiety is just getting into the fair and how to get there.
That is a challenge.
I always, for any appearance that I have to make, I always seem to be just ridiculously early, just because I'm so worried how to get in there. It's just the crowd. So I've done 3 of 4 appearances so far. And I've gone 3 different ways. One, I took a lift. The other, I took a park and ride from the soccer stadium. And the other, I just parked on the premises. So,
what do you recommend?
You know what? The lift was cool in terms of because I parked at a friend's house that lives sort of near the fair. And it was awesome getting in there. But the problem with Lyft or Uber is leaving there. Get in that car they have to fight traffic to get into the premises. So it just, even though it might say 2 minutes away, it's not 2 minutes away, you know. So the day, if it's raining, I highly recommend parking on the premises. When I say on the premises in one of the lots, the Athletic, we don't have media passes, believe it or not. We have to get that. But if it's raining, it was so simple to just get in and out of there. And the park and ride's awesome. Like I did the Alliance Stadium. From that route, what they do is they have to get on 94, go to 280, go to like whatever that road is, the forget the road is that gets them on the, kind of the express bus lane. Yeah. And so it was like almost 15 minutes on the bus each way. But those parking rides are awesome. I used to do the one at University of Minnesota all the time when I lived downtown, and it's so simple getting there, but the line to get on that University of Minnesota bus to get back could be an hour. I mean, it's crazy how long the line is for that one. So the one at the soccer stadium is the one I would definitely recommend.
Brandon was nodding as you were talking about that. By the way, thank you.
I'll probably do that on Labor Day.
If you guys haven't noticed or met Brandon before, Brandon Morton's our longtime producer. We appreciate all the work he's put into the network.
I was driving down here, and my mother, I was talking to her on the phone, and she was like, does Brandon just have a kick me sign on his back? And I'm like,
been a rough month for Brandon.
Yeah.
He's only had 2 cars stolen in the last month,
I thought it was a good line by my mom.
It was actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get your writing tips from her?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should. Remember when we spoke to the Metropolitan Breakfast Club a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Peter, I was over.
I've done it twice.
Yeah, I did it this week, and they asked me a really interesting question. They asked, and these people have been Minnesota sports fans for a long time, and they said, are pro sports going to have trouble continuing to fill their, and not just pro sports, all revenue sports. So they're going to have trouble continuing to fill their buildings. You have younger fans who would rather watch on TV or rather watch on a device. You've seen that with Gopher Sports. People are not going to the games. The flip side of that is the Wild sell out no matter how they play.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this year is going to be tough. I could see their solid streak ending this year. I do think. It's funny. I've talked to people in the Wild hierarchy that have said the same thing about kids. It's like they don't even want to go to the games anymore. It's not because they're not having fun. It's like this video game world. It's like you look it on the line. Read The Athletic. The other thing that is, I think, a major issue that would be a great story for say, a project for us at The Athletic to write that I think a lot of people maybe in this audience and people at that Metropolitan Breakfast Club could talk about is, when the tax laws changed and now there's no write-offs anymore for getting a suite or getting tickets for a client or things like that. And so now it's hard. It's hard to justify if you're a businessman that takes clients to a game and they're able to at least put in a write-off there in April, and you can't do that anymore. That type of stuff changes the revenue that these teams take in. So
absolutely, yes, sir.
What button are you wearing? Oh, that's State Fair one?
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So, keep forgetting how to pronounce his last name. Dom, the Lewinsky.
Oh, yeah. I can't pronounce it.
Do you just call him Dom or Dommy?
I just call him Dom and then a bunch of consonants. Yeah.
So Dom is
luckily, like on The Athletic, when on our if I'm going to email him, it just comes up. The way it word on any Outlook. And then on our Slack system, same thing. I just write Dom, and it's like, boop, there he is.
You have a whole system for Russo Slacks?
Yeah. No, we have this analytics guy at The Athletic that his last name is like Lecision or something, but it's like 16 characters and a bunch of Z's and Y's and S's and C's and H's and N's and Z's and Y's and, yeah.
Yeah, so just about not too long ago, he came out with the survey here for the fan survey, just how do you feel confidence about the team's leadership.
Yep.
And that was before, Billy was hired, so that the Wild was dead last.
Yeah.
And I say, no way, come on. I think the Wild are in a better situation than, let's say, the obvious year, Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I will tell you. I know that. It's funny. Craig Leopold never mentioned it to me, but somebody told me that is friends with Craig Leopold that he was very embarrassed by that story, and it really bothered him. Not like angry, but bothered him. But the one thing I would have said that if Craig ever asked me about it is that the timing sucked for the Wild. I mean, the day that Paul Fenton was fired was the day that Dom just happened to be doing this survey. And if you don't know what you're talking about, is that Dom does this thing on fan confidence in their front offices. And so the day that he was planning this was always going to be the end of July, because the whole point of the thing is that a lot of us writers in the league goes to sleep in August, so we kind of do some funky stuff in August. So he was looking for story ideas, so he always does it in late July. And so it's a Google document that fans could just fill out, and a bunch of different categories. Well, the Wild obviously finished last, but they have no GM, so the timing sucked for the Wild. It's just like if I was filling the thing out, I would have had no confidence in the front office because there was no front office. So I felt bad for the timing of that. I don't think the Wild would have been 31st. I don't think they would have been, after the year that Paul Fenn had, I don't think they would have been higher than 25th, 26th anyway. But you're right. I mean, to say that they were dead last in the league in terms of confidence fans have in the front office, I think that's 100% because they didn't have a GM. If they did that now, I could promise you the Wild would finish a lot higher than 31st. It was just the timing of it. So to me, that one I would take with a grain of salt. And that's no offense to Dom. It's just the timing.
Right.
You know.
So any forward area where Dom has the Wild projected at? I mean,
you know what? I do have a sense. I can't say because the way it works at the Athletic is it's crazy to me. He's doing 31 NHL previews from an analytical point of view, and then we kind of input where it goes. So his starts. It started August 28th, I think, right? So his should have started today, and then it goes 31 days. And so the Wild preview will come out. The one thing I will tell you, if you look at all Dom's models all offseason, his models have the Wild much more optimistic than the common view of the fan or beat writer or anybody like that. So my guess is that Dom's preview of the Wild will not be nearly as bad as maybe Wild fans think it might be.
Yeah, because I was just listening to the other podcast here by the THN. They were a little bit less optimistic here, and just like what you said here with what you hear Jim said about Billy coming in here with the easiest job.
Yeah.
Maybe it would just be easier just to blow this team up.
Well, look, I have said this 1,000 times. It is unrealistic to blow a team up in today's day and age.
And Fenton
especially
tried,
when you have 7 guys.
And
yeah,
didn't
he
work
tried
very well.
Yeah, I mean, he got rid of the guys that, frankly, I mean, what he tried to do is because you can't blow it up, he attacked the guys that you sort of can trade. But you can't blow it up when you have a bunch of untradeable contracts. And the other thing that makes no sense is there's no such thing as a teardown anymore because the rules are different from years ago when Pittsburgh was getting Crosby and they were getting Kane and Taves and all these. Pittsburgh had 3 first overall picks in 4 years. Malkin was second, but Fleury and Crosby. The rules were set that if you finished last, that you were most likely going to wind up with the first pick. It's not that way anymore. I mean, we just saw right this year, teams win the lottery that all of a sudden look at Chicago. They shouldn't have been where they were, but they won it. And so the tanking thing, the league has tried to get rid of that, and so the whole blow it up thing is just to me unrealistic.
Good questions. We appreciate
can't
it.
do it.
Thank you. Go to tinshedmn.com and you will find out all their specials. They have kids eat free all day, every day. They always have kind of a daily deal. They have 2-for-1 happy hours, $5 happy hour drinks, $5 happy hour appetizers, 2-for-1 all day, every day on Michelob Golden Light and Coors Light pints. A bunch of coupons on their website. If you go to the deals tab, tinshedmn.com down here in Savage. Check it out. Let's do some Twitter questions. Feel free, though. We do prioritize people who actually come out to the show, so if you have a live question, come right up, and we'll get to you. MJ asks how your mom's doing.
Good. New dog.
How's the new dog working out?
Seems still around. So
that was a great interview. That was awesome.
She looks like a dust mop right now, though. She needs a haircut.
Your mom?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
Mary says for Brandon to hang in. This
next
car won't get
another
stolen
good
for a couple
mom
months.
line is hopefully Margot LaPanta is listening, but my mom's like, I love the pictures of Billy Guerin's family. They just seem so lovely, like the LaPanta's kids. And I'm like, oh, so nice.
It's pretty hard to disagree.
Yeah.
The LaPantas are a good-looking family. You have to admit that.
Yeah. Thanks to Margot.
From Dennis Sundley. Oh, nope, a different topic. John Cummings asked, do you think a Spurgeon for Lane trade would help both
Spurgeon
clubs?
for who?
Lane, I don't think he spelled it correctly.
Let me see.
So,
Laney? Oh, Liney.
Liney.
He means Liney.
That.
I don't see something like that happening, but...
There's a tweet here from Russo Slacks. Everyone has to drink every time Michael says Cabo.
Yeah.
I thought it was everything you had to drink every time Michael said Florida.
From just on the Spurgeon for Liney thing, I'm just spitballing here. But remember, Spurgeon is a modified no move, no trade. I've got to think Winnipeg's on it. No offense, Winnipeg people. I mean, Kevin Cheveldayoff is not trading Patrick Laine for a player that might not re-sign there long term. So I don't think it makes any sense.
From Russo Slacks, what is Guerin's opinion of second-round draft picks? That's all you got? Just a big sigh?
That's all you got.
From Skylar Vacius, a big Wild fan, he actually asked me a football question. He asked, what's my take on the whole Andrew Luck spiel?
Good question.
It's a good question. I've been covering the NFL since '89, and I've seen players just I can't tell you how many players I've been around who just looked like they were suffering as they walked through the locker room every day. They just looked like they'd been in a car wreck.
Yeah.
And there were times when I'd cover somebody and I'd be like, God, that is the grumpiest, meanest person I've ever met. And then you talk to them 2 years after their career's over, and they are completely different human beings. Like they healed up and they got new perspective and they feel better. It's a brutal, brutal sport. I would never blame anybody for trying to get out with their brain intact or their body intact.
I was listening to Matt Burke the other day, and he was saying that high school participation is at an all-time low.
It is.
He was talking about what you were just saying about how nobody's ever 100%. Ever. I mean, I think you get that in all sports, but these guys are just.
But this is severe brain injury and severe limb injury.
Well, just body injury. I mean, I during OTAs like 2 or 3 years ago, I was in a club with Harrison Smith, and we were chatting, watching TV, and he got up to just honestly throw bottled water in the garbage, and I was in pain watching him get up and walk there. To walk 10 feet to go throw this thing out. I mean, now they were in the middle of OTAs, so I don't, he could have just been beat up from a week. But the reality is that here's a young, fit as a fiddle athlete that was in pain, not even close to the football season.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy to me.
Well, I was good friends with Dave Huffman, who played USFL and he played for the Vikings, and he was a backup, so he wasn't like getting killed every day. He was just going through practice, mostly standing on the sideline. And after his career's over, he was living in Chicago. Went down there, we played some golf, and he just slammed pills before he played golf. We went out and played golf, slammed pills afterward, and he said the hardest part of his day was getting out of bed in the morning. He had trouble getting out of the bed in the morning.
That's what Burke was saying that is interesting that you never think of as an average fan or media person is just that, like, when you're hurt as a player, or especially a concussion, that first minute when you open your eyes in the morning, how you consciously, all right, how do I feel? Yep. Like, you almost have to, and then it's just the most ejecting feeling if you feel like crap again. And it's like you never think like that, but if if you really think about it, it would absolutely make sense. Your most content, pain-free time is while you're sleeping, and then all of a sudden you're conscious, and you are that first analyzation. All right, am I better or am I still hurt? And then if you're hurt, how mentally that could become draining for on and on and on and on. I remember I've told this story before. 2 months before Derek Boogaard died, I walked around New York City with him, and he was telling me about he was dealing with major concussions at that point, and he was just telling me about his day and just how every morning it was just kind of like the most depressing thing in the world as he realized that he's on month 4 of not being able to open the blinds in his New York City apartment and things like that. So.
And the other thing you notice, I cover all sports. Baseball players love baseball. Basketball players love basketball. Baseball players love batting practice. They love hanging around the clubhouse. Basketball players, if they weren't in the NBA, they'd go play pickup ball someplace. Hockey players love hockey. Football players like what football can do for them. They don't necessarily like the sport.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. I was yesterday at Braemar. I was shooting the breeze with Billy Guerin, and he was like, you could just tell he wanted to jump on the ice. Mm-hmm. It was just like, he loves summer hockey. He turned to me at one point, and he goes, not one of these guys are getting a paycheck right now, and just look at them. Look how much they love what they're doing right now. Yep. He goes, this is what it's about right now. Because it's cool in 2 weeks when training camp starts, but look at the love that they all have for the sport. And you could just tell that he wanted to go out there.
The other one angle I'll bring up about the Luck thing is typical of the NFL, typical of the Indianapolis Colts. They kind of lied to the public constantly about his injuries, severity of his injuries, and I'm disgusted that people would boo Andrew Luck as he's walking off that field for the last time. But I think a little bit of the discontent was based on the fact that they got lied to. They bought season tickets thinking that Andrew Luck was going to be playing the whole season.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying they should have booed. I'm saying that there is something there that the Colts are responsible for.
Yep. Skylar Vasius always asks the questions.
Good questions.
That gets us going. Not to. That's how I feel on and the first person that jumped in my head was Zach Parise. Part of my job also is to from that what you just said about the Colts is it's fraudulent. You're trying to you're hiding injuries so people buy their tickets and then all of a sudden boom, the player they're buying tickets to see is not there. And that's how it's like when Zach Parise was going through his issues with his back a couple years ago at the beginning of the season, and I knew that he was going under the knife, and I was writing it, and the Wild were not even the business people, but the hockey ops people. So Chuck and those people were pissed that I found out about it and was going to write it. That was how I felt.
Yeah.
Like they're opening the season. These fans are coming in optimistic. They're about to spend a fortune on tickets, and they're hiding the fact that Zach is in major dire straits and can't even tie his shoes or has to eat standing up anymore. And part of my job is to report that. Mm-hmm. Like it's not to help you guys sell tickets in that case by not being honest with the truth. And it was the same thing before the playoffs that year. I mean, God, the fight that I got into with Chuck. When I found out that Parise was was not going under the knife, but when this is the year before, was not going to be available for the Dallas series, and how pissed he was. Now he was more angry from I think more of a competitive point of view that the Stars are going to know that he's out, but it is not. Again, I write for the fans. They've got to know that Zach Parise is not available for him. It's the same reason. Like I broke the story that Tyler Seguin wasn't in Minnesota for games 2 and 3 with the Achilles stuff. Dallas was hiding that, and I reported it. I mean, that's just the job.
Absolutely. So. And when I was a beat writer, those were the biggest fights I had were over injuries, revelations. Johnson from Wisconsin asked, have you heard anything about hockey ops improving the in-game experience a la Vegas? This is one of the worst in the league, in his opinion.
I mean, they are. I don't know exactly what they're doing. I'm actually planning on having that conversation with somebody that works for the Wild here in the next couple of days, maybe even tomorrow, actually. And I will have a story at some point on a lot of things that's going to happen with the team from off the ice standpoint, from that stuff, game ops, broadcasting. There's going to be a lot of interesting things to write about here in the next couple of weeks.
From Greg on Twitter, since Guerin isn't in a rush to make any front office hires, does that mean the Wild are stuck with a one-man analytics crew for the rest of the season?
Well, I don't know about that. I think that's the type of thing that he can probably improve on. But again, I mean, to me, you got to get the right people, right? I mean, you can't just hire anybody. So that is something that I think that he's well aware that he's got to improve on for a little while.
Let's see, from Austin Almendinger.
I think that's him back there.
Oh, well, can't. Oh,
hey, you can't get away with a tweet. You got to come up here and ask another question.
Come on,
can't tweet from inside the tin shed.
Breaking all the rules.
Vicky asked 6 questions a show. You can come up.
So. I just wanted to hear Jim try to pronounce Almendinger.
And you got me. Worth it. That is my kryptonite, man.
He can't even pronounce line name. I thought he was going to get that right.
It wasn't spelled right.
I know.
That confused me.
Just saw an article the other day about all the things coming to player tracking and all that. Kind of you touched on it just a second ago, but what do you see for like in-game experience possibly? Do you think?
I don't know. I'm excited, but to get to the previous person's question, I do think that this is why you have to have a real quality analytics crew working for you, because these teams and media are about to get dumped with just a ton of information. And you need to have really bright minds in your front office, and preferably helping me, right, that are going to be able to parcel through what's relevant and not relevant, what can help you make decisions, what can't help you make decisions, what can help the coach make decisions and not. And so, the way that I understand, I mean, JT Bourne, who, his dad played in the NHL, played for the Islanders, one of my favorite players. He wrote that story for us at The Athletic, and it was fascinating, and I was reading this. And it'll just be interesting how much information we get off the hop, because I talked to somebody with the league today that said that it might not be, that it might not be ready for right away, that they just want to get this right. But I do think that we are going to get just, we're going to know where players go on the ice, quadrants that they go, where guys are, exact amount of times that they might have the puck. I mean, there's going to be just so much info that we're going to get that I think it's going to be fascinating for all of us, and then for somebody like me, understanding how to really understand it. Craig Huston has a podcast that's coming out this week here with Andrew Thomas, who's one of the co-founders of War and Ice that worked for the Wild the last 4 years, that was just let go by the person that used air quotes as an expert to describe him. And that one will be fascinating because that's part of his new gig is really cool, and I'll let him break it on the podcast. But he works for an external non-NHL enterprise that's going to kind of help parcel through this. I'll just let him explain it. But if you care about that stuff, you'll like that podcast.
Yeah. Is that something you think you'd use in your writing at all?
Well, I hope so. I'm not very bright though. That's
my line.
Yeah. I've been trying. This is where it's like sometimes it's like I don't feel like I'm old, but I do feel like I'm a dinosaur in this stuff. Like there's just certain parts, certain analytics that I either don't understand, or two that I just roll my eyes at. And one is puck possession, by the way. I just think it's ridiculous. Some of the things that it's just used as gospel. When it comes to that stuff. But I will say I've been trying. I mean, I want to do a story on the two twins here in the Twin Cities that run Evolving Hockey. So I want to do a feature on them. But two, I've been using their site a lot lately, especially with contract comparables and things like that this offseason. But from my standpoint, and I've met with Dom before, I've met with Tyler Dello when he worked for The Athletic, now he works for the New Jersey Devils, to find out what's relevant stuff that I can help you, that I can use in my writing. Because sometimes the one thing at The Athletic is that it's like we have Tony Abbott and we have other great analytics writers throughout our platform, and it's like you kind of become, as a beat writer, especially if you don't love the stuff or understand it very well, you kind of almost rely, well, they'll write it. I would much rather that person really understands it, write it, rather than me. But I have, if you notice my writing the last couple of years, I at least, I try to put a lot more in there to try to give different points of view that maybe that the analytics support stuff that I'm seeing, or vice versa. So
good question. It was much better up here than it would have been me trying to mispronounce your name and answer it. No, appreciate you coming out. Hey, Vicky?
No
question
Philip today?
from Vicky? No Philip? All right. Well, we appreciate you being here. Let's get I think we have one. Do we have another live question?
Couple.
Oh, we do. Mrs. Rule.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Do you like being referred to as Heather Rule's mom?
Sure. seems
it's a badge
that's
of honor.
how I'm known in the press box at Target.
It's a badge of honor. Absolutely.
That's what she tells me. So anyway, what do you know about Mikko and his rehab, and is he going to be ready for the...
I know the sense of humor hasn't changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
What sense of humor?
I told him I was coming to lunch with him and Guerin yesterday and Leopold, and he told me, well, then he wasn't coming.
Oh.
And then he actually came back in the rink. He goes, I was just kidding, right? And I'm like, yes, I've known you for 15 years. I've learned your deadpans pretty well. He looks good to me on the ice. I mean, he's coming back from a major injury. He's going to have to start. I mean, one reason why I want to sit down with him is just to talk to him. Bruce says that he's fine with being a third-line center. I want to hear Mikko say it. So we'll see. But, look, anybody coming off this injury, it takes a while, and he's only got 1 year left on his contract. So how is he going to look this year? I don't know. And I think he's going to take a step back and roll. I think it's good that the Bruce plans to play Cunnin and up. It's going to be, if Mikko is on the third line, it's probably going to be at the detriment of Joel Eriksson-Ek, unless somebody gets hurt and Eriksson-Ek moves to wing on one of the top 9 positions. But late in games, if they need a big face-off win or a power play to score, they're down 3-2 in the third period, and say Mikko's in that position where he's no longer on the power play, I guarantee Mikko's taking that draw, and he should. That's what it comes down to. If they need a big face-off win, or if they on a power play or in an even strength situation with the net empty, he's got to be on the ice. He's one of the best players in the history of this game, face-off wise. So he should be there. But for the first couple periods, if he's got to play third line center and he's not going to play a lot of power play time, that's for the good. If it's for the good of the team, I think Bruce is willing to do that. But if there comes a point in a game that's a big game situation, he's going to have to be the guy that takes it. So
good question. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Let's get a
Nice
final
seeing
thought
ya.
from Michael. Thanks again to Tin Shed and Savage, Twill in the Edina Galleria, Fixologyrepair.com, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, and Bitesquad.com. Final thought, Michael.
Going to Vegas on Tuesday.
Fun or work?
Both. I have a sit down with somebody there for a story that's going to run. That's going to be, I think, really awesome at some point. I just don't know when it's going to run. And then, fun. This week I always kind of like a last hurrah in Vegas. But I do. I've got 3 or 4 features in the can that I'll be right in there. Same thing. I mean, it's like the only difference between Vegas and Cabo is the beach. But I can't sit in the casino for hours upon hours. So I don't mind working on these type of things.
All righty. Everybody, please give Michael and Brandon a hand. We appreciate everybody came out tonight.
If we can just make sure that Brandon's car is still in the parking lot before we leave.
We drove him, so he's safe.
Okay. Is that true? Did you?
It's
drive?
absolutely
Oh,
true.
okay.
Yeah, it's not a joke. We actually drove Brandon here. So our car will be gone.
Sorry, Brandon.
No doubt about it. Once again, thanks to everybody. We appreciate it. Tentatively, the next show, September 11th, September 18th, 7 o'clock here. That is the plan, and we're going to try to fit another one in if we can late October or late September or early October. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive